Hey guys, good morning. I got to work tomorrow and the next day, and who knows what next week. I'm going to try to pick up some extra days. I only worked one extra day this week, so with Thanksgiving, it was kind of nice to be off yesterday and be off today to kind of rest. But so I've just been working on some personal things. There's that Dodgy talked about, the fourth president of the Heartfulness System. He talked about, you know, when you're doing your meditation, you can, pray to God and ask for to be shown the barriers that are keeping you from connecting. And I do that pretty much every time I meditate and pray that, I'll be shown what I need to do or shown the things that, I can control and the things I can fix or remove, that they be shown to me so that I can remove them. And um, I I do believe that we have to take a certain level of responsibility with our practice and with our, I mean, ultimately we can determine our energy, frequency, whatever you want to call it. Our We have certain level of control, and it's very disempowering to tell people they have no control, right? Kind of what we're seeing with this police state, new world order reset thing. They want to tell us, oh, we have no control over anything. We have to determine what's best for you. We have to give you vaccinations. We have to socially distance you. We have to put signs up and show you which direction to walk in an aisle. And, um, but it's the reason it's gotten to this point is lack of self control and lack of self responsibility. And like I said, there's a certain level of things we can control, and then there's things we can't control. And there's that saying about control, give the things to God that you can't control, but control the things you can, or something. I can't remember exactly, but you know what I'm saying. And it kind of came today, like this came to me. It's really about simplicity. I asked God, help me through this. I'm kind of working on some stuff, and I asked for God to help me with this because it just seems so difficult. And I just kind of got this message of just simplicity. Don't make it more complicated than it is, and keep it simple. It's really, God is really simple. Bob G has a saying. I put it on my coffee pot, and it said, "God is simple, and God can be obtained by equally simple means." And it's we. I think we build things in our mind to be something that's really complicated and really obtuse, and it's kind of like that story of the little boy who, the semi truck couldn't get under the bridge, and the little boy said, to deflate the tires, and it was like the simplest solution, but everyone else was thinking like, oh, we gotta, remove the bridge, or we gotta, you know, take the top off the truck or whatever. It was the simplest solution, and it was the best answer, and I found that in my life. And it's kind of interesting with this whole political thing. I think it comes down to simplicity also, because what they're actually doing is they're telling us that it's more complicated than we can understand. That it's something that we can't understand. It's too complicated for us to understand, and it really comes down to freedom or slavery. And so they're having real draconian stuff happening. I saw something in up in Canada, and Canada's more socialist, and they're flexing their muscle. They're flexing their socialist muscle. They're coming in and being real draconian with stuff, and the people are not going to tolerate that. And it's this lockdown thing is. I was talking to my mom about it, and she doesn't share the same political views I do. But it's kind of funny because when I listen to her, she's actually saying a lot of things that are very similar to what Trump's actually trying to do, but they watch the mainstream media and they don't know. They think something completely opposite because the mainstream has been, twisting things and turning things and making it really complicated and just obscuring the truth at every juncture. I mean, truth is very basic and simple, and you don't have to be really high IQ to understand truth. And um, it's like I say, it's about freedom. And my wife, when all this started happening, she said, it's that old saying, Patrick Henry, give me freedom or give me death. And that's kind of where we're at right now. Give me freedom or give me death. I've kind of resolved myself to that a little bit. I think it's been kind of good because um, for me, it's like I made the video talking about, the enemy coming over the walls. That's kind of what it felt like with this election. Like the enemy was coming over the walls. They breached the security. They've come over the top. There's no turning back. It's fight to the death. There's no other option. But um, because it's obvious that they stole the election. It's becoming more obvious now, but it's kind of interesting because there was I see things turning now. There's a turn. I think next week we're going to really see things turn, and it's kind of funny how people fell apart. I have coworkers who are really pro-Trump and all this stuff, but as soon as there was a dispute about the election, which we knew there was going to be. I mean, they predicted this. Trump was predicting the cheating. He tried to tell people, you know, he tried to give people a warning and say, hey, they're going to try to cheat. They are going to cheat because that's the only way they can win. And these people just fell apart. They just were like, "Oh no, it's looking bad for Trump. Oh no, Trump's not going to get in. Oh no, what are we going to do?" And they were all like falling apart. And I had to just keep reminding them, "Hey, quit watching TV, quit watching the media. They're lying to you. They're lying to you, and you're believing it. You know, you're culpable at this point. You're believing the lies. Quit believing the lies." And in some ways we all have like a little bit of defective programming in our minds, and we cheat ourselves, just like this situation I'm dealing with. I cheat myself. I say, oh, I'm not strong enough to deal with this. I can't do it. I'm too weak. I've screwed up too many times. I've gone backwards too many times. I can't possibly do it this time. And that's a lie. That's such a lie. We have so much power and so much strength. But anyway, what I wanted to say was, there's this point where it's a turning point, like where, the day after the election, and everybody was like, oh my God, they're saying the Biden won. They're saying the Biden won. And everybody started to panic. And you could see the weakness. They said in the Revolutionary War, that a third of the people were pro Britain. A third of the people really were kind of neutral. They didn't really care. And a third of the people actually rose up and rebelled. And then out of that third, they probably a very small percentage actually fought, that actually went out on the field of battle. And it turned everything, right? I mean, they just this small little contingent of soldiers. And I don't know if you've ever studied anything about Valley Forge and how horrible it was. These soldiers were sick, and they didn't have boots. They had to wrap their feet in rags in the freezing cold. Okay. So we think we've given up something. We think we've suffered a little bit for our freedom. I was thinking about these guys, these young teenagers that, you know, hit the beaches on Normandy I mean, you're talking about machine gun fire. I don't know if anybody's ever been out to a rifle range, but you're shooting low caliber stuff. You're shooting like 9 millimeter, maybe some 30 caliber. They were shooting 7.62 big, big bullets out of big machine guns coming down on these guys, raining down on these young men, and they were just dying. And, they just charged the beach and they took the hill and they did what they had to do. And, they're heroes. That's what a hero is. And they may not have understood, exactly what was going on, but they knew they were fighting evil. And they knew that they were up against something that was evil and terrible. And they did their duty. And that's what, I see that now. Like there's a certain group of people who are ready to stand and fight. And I'd like to include myself in that. You never really know until the rubber hits the road, but I'd like to include myself in that. And um, that resolve that it takes to make that decision. And I credit doing my meditation practice because when I went to visit my friend Chiranjiva, he's a trainer here in the area, and I actually got to go. He actually spent time with Babaji, and when he was young, and when he was younger, and I got to do meditation with him, and it was really cool. But one thing he said, he gave me a little talk at the beginning, and he talks about some things and explained some things to me. And one of the things he said that stuck with me is he said, we fear nothing. We fear nothing. And that was like, here's this little guy, he's a little 90-pound man, and he's telling me that, basically he fears nothing. I mean, that's awesome, right? Because he's experienced the true power of love, and there's nothing to fear when you've experienced that. And you know, coming up against these trials and tribulations, when you have that Spirit of God behind you, you have it. And I'm blessed because I was given an experience. I was shown what love was. I was shown a form of love and its power and its magnitude, and it was something that I've held with me every day. And anytime I start to think, oh, the enemy's strong, the enemy's stronger than we are, I always think back to that experience. And that's why, Kalamush Daji talks about, experience. Experience is the most important thing, because if I hadn't had that experience, I would be one of these wishy-washy people flailing all over the place, freaking out, worrying. And another thing too is, you know, I try to pick that 1/3 of people to listen to. There's certain people that you take advice from, right? And the tough times will kind of, when things get tough, there's certain people you go to for advice. They've been tried and true, and that's what I've tried to do with this, with my social media, is guide my social media in a way where I don't listen to negativity. I don't listen. Now, there's a difference between that and being in an echo chamber, and so you got to be careful. But at the same time, once you've established truth, once you have an idea of what truth is, you can start selecting. You know, you don't just pick. You don't just grab it. You select. You pick, and that's very important. And we have to understand that we should have the right to do that. We have the right to select, the right to choose. And right now, we're being given the opportunity to choose freedom or tyranny. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't see it that way. They think the tyranny is freedom. And I think this lockdown stuff's the perfect example. You have a lot of people who are completely pro, hey, you know what? There should be no restriction. You should be able to move freely about. The people who need to quarantine or need to do whatever, then they need to do what they need to do to protect their health. It's not my responsibility, to protect your health. It's your responsibility to protect your health. But that's a concept that's lost on people. And, my mom was saying, oh, there's just people that are so selfish. They're so selfish. And I wanted to say, what do you mean by selfish? The fact that they want to live their life, without being in fear, does that make them selfish? The fact that they want to go out and do things, does that make them selfish? I don't think it makes them selfish. I mean, this isn't the bubonic plague, this isn't Ebola. Now, if that was the case, then we'd all be in trouble. Anyway, just some thoughts. I see that things are swinging. There's the floodgates are going to open, and are going to see this just tidal wave of information, and it needs to be buffered with love. And I see that, the way things are playing out, it's like the whoever is designing this, whoever's rolling this out, this truth reveal, it's going to be done in a loving way. I think it has been so far. I mean, it's they could have just, released the tapes, the confessions, and all this stuff, and they could have shown, the executions. They could have shocked people, but they're giving people an opportunity to wake up, and I think it's very benevolent and kind because, I was reading one of my Twitter people yesterday, and he said that, we went past the point where we could fix this problem on our own, and as a society, to bring down the cabal. The cabal got too strong. We were never going to be able to overcome. And so the divine has mandated that this, cabal be overthrown, and so they sent forces to help us. And I believe these are the Pleiadians, the Arcturians, the higher level, higher dimension, um, basically our ancestors, our relatives, and they're coming to assist us right now because we couldn't have done this on our own. But in a lot of ways, you can't do this on your own. The spiritual journey itself cannot be done on your own. And it's the third line of the Sahaj Marg prayer. Thou art the only God in power who can take us to this level and to that level. And that level is that level of, you know, higher consciousness, enlightenment, whatever you want to call it. It's it's the heavenly realm, and we achieve that level through God's grace, through the grace of the divine. In spite of all of our, mistakes, we're if we I think if we keep it simple, God will guide us. It's like the path will open up, and we'll just be like, oh my God, it was right there. I can't believe I couldn't see it. And that's what I think enlightenment's going to be like, very similar to that, where you're just like, oh my God, it was there the whole time. It was right there, and I just couldn't see it. And really, it's just because it's obscured, and and that's the whole point of doing the practice, is to clean those things off. Anyway, I hope you all have a good day. Hope I survive work. Talk to you later.